Good evening, and welcome to the Problem of Being Awake. My name's Ben, and I'll be your host. And today it's a bit of a somber video, so I'm not going to be that animated while I say it, but it's probably the right time in the world to say it. I've been trying to fight against a lot of what is going wrong in our society for 6 years, and the amount of articles that have been buried, videos taken down, channels cancelled, all of this. Let's say the 1st of November 2020 started on the last night of October and ended on the 1st. I heard a girl screaming for help, and I know the sound of what a girl screaming for help sounds like, unfortunately, and I also know that I go to help. That's just something I've known, and I've had the pleasure of knowing that about myself for most of my life because I've done something similar. This one, however, I turned out, it was 2 girls and 6 Turkish migrants, of which some of whom were illegal. And I saw them quite handy with my fists, and I thought, well, I can't extricate me and the girls, so I just got the girls behind me and stayed them off while they ran away. They didn't like that. So they took metal poles to the back of my skull. I received 226 blows in total. And it was an attempted murder because they were shouting, "Kill him," the whole time. At one point, they grabbed me by all 4 limbs and rammed my head into a brick wall a number of times. The initial police investigation was the worst I've ever heard of. What their witness statements were 98% verbatim. And anything above 80%, Crown Prosecution Service look at witness tampering. But the police said there wasn't enough evidence, and the only guy they could charge, it would get away on self-defense. Now, this is the guy I kind of laughed at for not hitting very hard, so he proved it to me by grounding my face and head into the tarmac. He broke all 10 knuckles. No one has ever broken all 10 knuckles in self-defense. Luckily, I have a legal family. My father at the top, but mainly my sister-in-law is a King's Counsel, so a high-level prosecutor for criminal conduct in the Crown Court. And she said that's absolutely ridiculous. Like anything in the 90%, any prosecutor would take that case on. But they told me the prosecutor wouldn't refuse to take the case on. And then, because I have a few contacts, I put them to work. Turns out the prosecutor wasn't even approached. So they said they let the guy off for self-defense. He wasn't even approached. But the one thing I knew was that the guy who owned the house owned a business, got 2 businesses down the road, and I speculated he might own more houses. And I kind of put this together, but I sent this up to London to somebody I know who could action the information. Turns out he did. He had 2 other houses, and in total, 17 arrests were made. I think they were all Turkish. I'm not 100% they were all Turkish, but it was a Turkish gang, it was a sex trafficking gang, and overall 32 women got released, which is great. I'll do it again. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about that, but I can sit here and say that I've had my life taken from me because the injuries have resulted in what is a slow degenerative death, and at this point, 2024, that's coming close to its end. I'm 41. If I get to 45, that would be very lucky. I'll be very happy with that. The chances of getting 50 at the moment look next to none. Every day I run the risk of having a heart attack. I had 2 last year that I had to be resuscitated from. I had a stroke last year, and I'm walk the tightrope every day and will do until it finally gives in. There is no upside to me. There is no cure. And Elon Musk might make one in 3 to 6 years, and that's pushing my life expectancy there. So I don't honestly think I'll see at the end of my contribution, even to journalism, to this kind of stuff, which I see as similar, yet not the same. It's a different medium. But see, I've had a I've been through some bad things in my past. That's probably the worst. But also, I said that I've also been kidnapped and tortured abroad in a third world country. Doesn't mean I was in war, by the way. I'm not Tim Waltz. So I'm not going to say that. I was actually just helping in a very corrupt country and I got arrested. Bad things happened from there. And it ended up with me getting kidnapped and tortured. I'm not going to go into it further. But as soon as I was physically able, I escaped very luckily. It was seriously, it was like such a short plan that I managed to pull off. It was there's only one person who I could have, who had the stupidity to let me escape, and I had to wait a long time for him to be on his own with me. And I made my move. It's the only move I could make, and I was lucky it worked because if it hadn't, I would have been dead. Short plan that I managed to pull off. It was there's only one person who I could have, who had the stupidity to let me escape, and I had to wait a long time for him to be on his own with me. And I made my move. It's the only move I could make, and I was lucky it worked because if it hadn't, I would have been dead because they weren't kidnapping. They weren't torturing me for information. They were torturing me for something else. So, um, I've experienced the worst sadism a man can imagine. Any man can imagine in his head. I said being burnt alive, I suppose, or buried alive, or suffocated permanently, or drowned permanently. Take anything else you want. You can imagine it. It's happened in South America, or it happened to me down the road. So no, none of these immigrants were integrated. Part of their culture made it fine for them to rape women who weren't of their nation or their culture. It's fine to imprison and sex traffic them. Those were those people's morals. And someone who got in the way of that, well, they need to be killed to send a message. Now, they're all in prison now, but that's only because I actually had connections that overrode the local police. Otherwise, they'd have got off, and a lot of other girls would still be in trouble. So this country has gone to shit. I can say that. The UK has gone to shit. It's been going to shit in so many ways. Anything woke, anything woke touches it incinerates and makes acidic. And I'm sorry, but we have had an immigrant problem in this country for 20 years, and we've been promised 20 years of answers, and yet we've got nothing but more looks at the secondary causes of the problems created. But still, immigrants pouring in. I'm not against legal immigration at all. It's necessary. But unchecked illegal immigration is extraordinarily dangerous. That's been proven in the UK and Europe and the USA by a country mile. So if you think it's okay, you're not okay in your head. So I'll leave it there. It's not a nice video to make. Normally I say it's always a pleasure, never a chore. This was more of a chore than a pleasure, but it was necessary. And I don't need comments or anything. Just share the video. Don't subscribe or any of that. Just share it if you find it of any interest to you at all. If not, please don't leave random comments. I do sometimes slur. That's because of my brain damage. Yeah, it gets annoying. Oh, are you drunk? No. I couldn't consistently talk about high-level psychological topics if I was drunk, like cluster B personalities that end only when they're stopped in histrionics and complete deflation, blaming everything on race and the person that's attacked their ideology, or they turn into cluster B narcissistic, and aggressive, violent people. Now, you can't say things that quickly if you're drunk, but yet, because I slur apparently occasionally, that's what I get. All comments are vile, generally speaking. Like, I've only 1% of comments that are worth reading. So, and 90% are made by AI. So I don't tend to read them. But some of them can be pretty nasty because I don't drink. I can't drink if I drink. If I drunk, I die. I don't have a painkiller that I can use to alleviate my pain. It's constant. I'm happy to die for my cause. So I'll leave it there. All the best, and you be lucky. Look out for it. Look out for yourself and your kids and your family because you're going to need the government one.